Hi, I'm Bill Arnold. You know, of all the virtual events I've done this year, the one group I've been most looking forward to being with is Hospitality House. You know, 60 is a big number. 3 times 20 is called 60 in old literature. I heard that because obviously I don't read old literature. Isaac was 60 when Jacob and Esau were born. Guys, can you imagine being a new dad at 60? There was no more golfing for Isaac on the weekends. Solomon's carriage was escorted by 60 warriors, making carriage jacking something Solomon never worried about. LeBron James wears number 60. I mean 23. COVID does not change the mission or the passion at Hospitality House, making a difference in the lives of kids, their families, their neighborhoods, their communities, all thanks to people like you. So let's give tonight with a generous heart. I think my 60 seconds are up, which means I probably won't be getting that 60 cents I was promised, but I'm gonna donate it anyway. Have a great night.
Greetings, everyone. So great to be with you here today. My name is Colin Barr. I'm former board chair for Hospitality House and about a 40-year volunteer for Hospitality House, going back to the early 1980s. Isn't it amazing? We're here to celebrate 60 years of Hospitality House dedicated services to youth and families in their ministry in North Minneapolis. What a wonderful thing. We're glad to welcome back some special people today. Herb Pfiffner, I remember him when I started in 1980. He was the big man, the boss's boss. Inspirational, great leader, led Hospitality House for a number of years and on to a great platform and great success. Herb, so great to have you with us. The theme for our event today is Transforming Lives, and what a perfect theme for the history and the vision of this organization. I can tell you that for me personally, I've seen amazing transformation for these young people while they're receiving services from Hospitality House, whether it's academic tutoring, athletic engagement in basketball or track or baseball or football or soccer, spiritual development with the variety of small groups that we have or the mentoring that happens. It's truly amazing, and transforming lives is a very appropriate theme for the 60-year celebration and anniversary for Hospitality House. I wish we could be with you in person. Of course, that would be better, but through God's grace and some human ingenuity, we're gonna make this online thing work today. We hope that your heart is touched by the amazing work of this ministry, the impact on these kids, that their needs are so important to us, and the service to their families. We think this is going to be a great time together and really appreciate you joining us, and hope that you're willing to give in these important times to this great ministry of Hospitality House. Thank you.
Welcome to our 60th year anniversary. 60 years here on the north side, helping thousands of children and their family, helping them with their homework, teaching them how to read and write, teaching family if they pray together, they stay together, watching them grow up from kids playing baseball and basketball, watching young men that are not really trained as well grow up to be strong and productive citizens in our community. 60 years. I know because I was one of them young men that came through here in 1967, and it helped me 60 years. We're talking about 1960, when families were different here on north side of Minneapolis. And then we're talking about 60 years to 2020. And we know, ladies and gentlemen, that today it's really different with COVID and all the other stuff going on. So I know the families 60 years ago who are going to tell you a little bit how Hospitality House was 60 years ago, and the kids that are going to speak about Hospitality House today. Sit back, watch the show, and I guarantee you, you will be blessed.
We've been transforming lives for 60 years at Hospitality House, one child at a time. In our Learning Center, we service children from K-age through high schools. And we are so fortunate to have you join us at this time to celebrate. We have been serving children for a long time, and now we serve children and their families. But in our Urban Learning Center, we have two major programs. We have our after-school program, which lasts the 9 months when school is in, and we concentrate on building academic skills in literacy and math. We also, as of a few years ago, added social and emotional learning. So our program focuses on that in addition to developing spiritual in our children. So we focus on biblical principles, basics of the Bible, and how to make Christian-based decisions. In our education department, we strive at making a difference in our children being successful academically, physically, and spiritually, as well as emotionally. Now, this year has been somewhat different because all of us are not working from the building. This year we have two components of our program. We have in-person programming that's in the building. We also have a second part of our program, which is distance learning. We've all been affected by the virus. So we are still serving our children and families with some challenges during this time. Now, I have been working with the distant learning, and it has been so rewarding to work with first graders. For example, I had a first grader this summer who, when we pre-test him, as we pre-test all of our students, he only knew 1 out of 100 words. By the end of the 6 weeks, this student knew 25 plus of those words. It was so rewarding, and his mother was so elated to find out what we were doing and to see the increase in his skills. It has been challenging, but it's been so rewarding to see that under these circumstances, God has still blessed us to be able to reach our students and help increase their academic skills, as well as their social skills and their emotional skills and intellectual skills. And we can do that because of people like you who support us on a weekly and monthly and yearly basis. Thank you so much for your support.
We love Dr. Foster!
As a young kid, I had no idea how important school was gonna be, but the hospitality house helped me understand that I needed it to get farther in my future and that it was something very important.
I started here 20 years ago. I began in high school. Dr. Foster was actually a mentor of mine as a young adult, and she was kind enough to throw me into a group of kids, and I fell in love with them. Thankfully, at that time, it was only a group of 4, and a few summers later, I had a class of 20 because we expanded and grew. Our whole theme is transforming lives, and I thought about a butterfly and how I caught actually a moth. They also do the same thing. And one of them can take anywhere from 8 months in the cocoon to 3 weeks. And this same metamorphosis for the same moth takes a different amount of time. And I feel like that's the same thing with the kids that we work with, in that some of them might take 3 weeks, some of them might take 3 years of being here until we really see a transformed life. And that's where it's fun. When you work with them for years, you can see some of who they are when they work with you. But then as I've worked with them over the years, I can see, wow, they've really transformed over the years that they've been here because of that impact. One of the things that I felt God had called me to was to unlock God's predestined purpose in each kid's heart, to see kids grow and then come back and work with Hospitality House. This year is a year that marks, I'd say, a bumper crop year, and that we have 2 of my former students on staff. And it is really fun. In fact, one of them has his own class, and I'm actually able to mentor him and supervise him. The one right over here is Nicholas, and Ja'Cory is the one over here. Yes, these are former students of mine, and it is just such an honor to work with them and to see them influencing our kids I think one of the greatest strengths that Hospitality House has is it's a solid, safe place. It's very inviting. And I mean, the very name, as we've done different staff retreats, that's something that's come out time and time again is hospitality. You say the name and that's the goal, is to make people feel welcome.
We want our kids and our youth to feel encouraged, safe, and also welcome. We want to be able to continue to pour into our youth so that they can take what we give them and apply it to the real world. Our goal for our teen support group is for all our kids to not only attend college, but to graduate college and to better their future and careers. One of our students here, Brian, is a special student for me. He holds a special place in my heart. He's came a long way. We started with him when he's struggling on his academics, but we didn't got him to 9th grade, and now he's open, honest, and very, very calm. We've given him a place to not only feel comfortable, but to feel welcome and wanted. One of the special times this summer was a canoeing trip we did with our teenagers. It didn't end well because I flipped over in a canoe, but the great bond and the great time I spent out there with the boys is unmeasurable. We were able to just bond and just break bread and spend quality time with each other while I'm continuing to build these relationships. Lifelong relationships is what I like to call them. I love my job, allowing myself to pour into the youth. I'm born and raised here in Minneapolis, alumni of Hospitality House, and I believe that for 60 more years, we could continue with your support.
The most satisfying part of the work we do here is just engaging with our youth, being able to relate to them, sharing my experiences from a young mom to now adulthood, just being able to share my testimony and helping them grow and navigate through life. Last year when we were doing our weekly meetings, we did the story of Samson in the Bible, where his hair was his strength, and he was able to be persuaded by the young woman to find out his strength and ended up cutting his hair. So the teen's reaction to that was just like, wow, like how could one be so moved or persuaded by another to do something or give the secrets of their power. And then also the message behind it. I just feel like the kids were really in tune and able to grasp the message from the story of Samson. We look to empower our young girls, to give them spiritual guidance, and also fellowship during our meetings. We like to do monthly activities just to keep the students engaged. Over the summer, we were able to do Zoom calls and maintain relationships with our teen girls through Zoom. If you are a giver and you're thinking that you would like to give some resources, no small amount is too little. A generous donation is welcome.
What I love about this place is that it provides structure and leadership for students, for families, support. It provides love and understanding of who Jesus Christ is, and also a recreational center for kids to not have to stay on the street or find things within the community to do outside that's unsupervised. I love the Hospitality House because my son was struggling with his reading, his sight words, and even with math. And here comes Dr. Foster helping my 6-year-old son learn how to say words, learn how to sound words out, learn how to count. Those things are priceless because many times when students go into the classroom, the teacher has like 30 other kids in there and they cannot give that individualized attention. Well, I'm so fortunate and my family is so grateful that we have the Hospitality House where students can come and get that one-on-one teaching, where not only are they getting a teaching about the natural things, but also the spiritual things. My son came home and told his brother, "Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's things." He heard those things right here at the Hospitality House. And of course it is being reinforced at church, but he's seeing the same thing that he sees on Sunday morning right here at the Hospitality House. He's hearing the prayers, he's seeing the smiles, he's hearing people talk about who God is. And I just appreciate this place because without it, I would have to try and figure out what I would do with my kids after school. Number one, I know that they're safe when they come here. I know that they're given high quality attention, love, and patience. I know that they're being guided in a very fruitful way, and that means the world to me. If you're looking for good ground, you're looking for a place where you can see fruit come back to you, the Hospitality House is the place to give, because you'll see not just the smiles, but you'll see lives being changed.
I'm a dad of one of their students. Aaron is here, and I've had a couple of my adult children do their internships here. And so we've been blessed to have multiple families for a couple different generations hanging out here at Hospitality House Boys and Girls Clubs. And some things that have been going on in North and South Minneapolis these last few months. We are grateful that Hospitality House is here and able to pour into the young life and be able to tell them the glorious works and deeds that our Heavenly Father has done. And so we can start saying there's hope in North Minneapolis because of Jesus. And we can say that there's hope here in our schools and in our homes because of Jesus. So of course there's going to be life circumstances, but we're grateful for godly men and women that keep on pouring Jesus into their lives.
And so many times it hasn't been easy, but it's been certainly when you think of the thousands of kids that have come through this place, I don't think there's anybody that would question that it hasn't accomplished great things.
As we celebrate the 60 years of ministry of Hospitality House Youth Development, we're also honored to recognize 24 years of ministry of Herb Pfiffner, our guest speaker. Behold, I set before thee an open door, from Revelation 3:8. That was a scripture passage Woody Larson used as his calling as the founder of, at the time, Hospitality House Boys Club. It was during Herb's tenure when a couple of youngsters were involved with the program of Hospitality House, Ralph Galloway and Johnny Hunter. It was Woody's dream that someday former members would become leaders of Hospitality House. God has fulfilled that dream, and it became a reality. Ralph became executive director, as well as Johnny, the current executive director. A tribute to Herb's leadership. It was during Herb's tenure, Hospitality House Girls Club was started, along with Hospitality House Boys Club South. As I quoted Woody earlier about Herb, he kept the ministry on track spiritually. Praise God for that. With that, I'd like to introduce and welcome our guest speaker, Herb Pfiffner.
Greetings from Seattle. I wish I could be with you tonight in Minneapolis, but in this crazy year 2020, that is just not possible. Thus, we greet each other in this age of high tech. I must say that I do feel very honored to be a part of this celebration. 2020 has been and continues to be a year of great challenges for all of us. But I believe the greatest challenge is for our youth. The youth of our country are facing things they never have had to face before. It's an upside down world for them. I mentor an 8th grader here in Seattle, and I have become aware of the difficulties that our youth face. In 60 years of Hospitality House, just think about that, wow. 60 years of Hospitality House has been active in North Minneapolis, reaching out and touching lives of youth. Over those years, it has changed. It has changed to meet the needs of our changing world, and that's okay. That's good. For me, it started with a baseball team, and Hospitality House Boys Club started at Harrison Park. A change came along with that. Where the boys were, all of a sudden there were girls. And soon Hospitality House Boys Club became Hospitality House Boys and Girls Clubs. And the world continued to change, and eventually it changed to Hospitality House Youth Development. This truly tells the story of Hospitality House, developing and delivering the youth of our city. But let me tell you, programs change, methods change, activities come and go. They get started and new ones arrive on our scene, and the club changes again. But one thing has remained, and one thing has not changed at all. The house remains faithful to the call of God to reach out and touch lives of our youth. The youth of our city needs Hospitality House. Romans 12:2 says this, "Do not be conformed any longer to the pattern of the world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Hospitality House has been and is doing just that. But let me go back in time. It was a spring day in the early 60s. I was at Harrison Park in North Minneapolis. I decided one way to reach kids was to start a baseball team. And we sent out flyers, made the announcement, and as I was standing there wondering what was going to happen, 3 guys came running over the hill from the housing project. Frank Ford, Charlie Brown, and Ralph Galloway. They came to play baseball. Now I have to admit, I knew very little about baseball. I had bats and a couple balls, and there was bases. And from there, they would teach me what it was all about. But it was a start. It was a start of Hospitality House for me. You might ask, what happened to those 3 guys that started that team? Well, Frank Ford went on to play some professional baseball. Charlie Brown became a writer for TV shows in Hollywood. And Ralph Galloway went on to become a pastor, and then he returned to become the executive director of Hospitality House Boys and Girls Club. What a story. Today he continues to serve in our community as a pastor. Changing lives. Hospitality House and their commitment to Christ does that and has done it for 60 years. Changing lives, transforming by the renewing of your mind. 60 years ago, a dream, and God has been faithful. We have all seen the dream of a baseball team, a game room in the basement of a church, Bible studies, and a small camping program grow and continue to grow to serve the youth of Minneapolis. Over the years, it has served thousands and thousands of youth. And many of you listening tonight are probably alumni of Hospitality House Boys Clubs, Hospitality House Boys and Girls Club, or Hospitality House Youth Development. The plan 60 years ago was very simple. Go where the youth are, meet their needs, and share Christ. Not an original plan, not original with us. Jesus did it over 2,000 years ago. He went where people were, met their needs, and gave them living water. Hospitality House still does that. And Hospitality House has been faithful in doing that. Going to the youth first at, as I mentioned, Harrison Park, and a baseball team, and then a storefront on Plymouth Avenue, 1709 Plymouth Avenue North. Gave us a home, a place where you could go to, a place on the Ave. Yes, it was a great start. The walls in that building were built by the 9th graders of Hospitality House. And then a company, Northside Electric, came over and wired it all so we could officially open the storefront. The program grew, and soon Hospitality House was not just at Harrison Park, but also at Grant School, at Ascension, North Commons, and Lincoln Junior High. Wow, Lincoln Junior High, 2 gymnasiums and a swimming pool. I can never forget those Thursday nights at the swimming pool with 120 youth coming every night. That was only 40 an hour, not 120 all at once. The mid-60s, Hospitality House continued to grow and grow. Over 450 members, card-carrying members of Hospitality House Boys Club. Then 1967, 1968 came, and the face of North Minneapolis changed dramatically. Many people left, many businesses closed as the Ave burnt down. But Hospitality House stayed. It stayed stable, it stayed strong, and it never missed a program. The program continued to go on through all things. 1967, the first year of the riots in North Minneapolis, Hospitality House remained in the storefront on Plymouth Avenue. The summer was hot and everything seemed to be falling apart. Our staff decided that they would keep the center open 24 hours a day during that time, just to see what we could do as the youth were on the streets. One night, Ray Crump, who was the assistant director at the time, and I heard a group of guys outside the door. One of the groups said, and I wrote this down at that time, quote, "My brother goes to this place, leave it alone. It's okay." Hospitality House was okay. 1709 Plymouth, the storefront center was the only building untouched that year during the riots. Parents felt safe to send kids to Hospitality House programming because we had a stable program based on love and hope and not fear. And God blessed. Parents sent their kids again to all of the programs that we had because they were very stable and it was a strong, steady staff. More kids continued to come. The program expanded. God provided more staff and, yes, more dollars to operate with. Now, in 1970, there was a growing need for a girls' outreach program in North Minneapolis. And so Hospitality House explored with the community, with churches, and with schools about starting a girls' club. And it was decided that the girls' club should be merged with the boys' club. So the creation of Hospitality House Boys and Girls Club became a reality. Cheerleading, athletics, camping, Bible studies, cooking classes. Oh yeah, I like those cooking classes. And more were added for girls. Now, Hospitality House needed more room. Using churches and schools was great, but we really needed a home for the house. I can remember a few years after that, Ray Crump and I laid on the banks of Hosley Memorial Methodist Christian Episcopal Church. And we looked across the street to 1220 Logan Avenue North. And there we had bought a small basement building. And Ray said to me, you know, Herb, our kids are first class. They are first class kids. And yet we have a second class building. We have a hand-me-down building. And we thank God for it. But I think God has a different plan for us. We need to tell our kids they're first class. Environment building will make a difference. I was then that a young man on the board of directors at Hospitality House, Peter Carlson. Peter said, I will quit the board, I will quit my job, and I will become a director of development to raise funds. Our first major project was to build a new facility. A dream. 1220 Logan Avenue North was built as a testimony to what God could do. It was fabulous. 44 years it's been there. Hospitality House was now the place to be. Friday Night Live. Who can forget among the alumni Friday Night Live with endless Totino pizzas, basketball till midnight, and the churches and the battle of the bands. And sports teams that traveled the nation. Ninth grade team won 3 national titles during those years. And hundreds of middle school and high school kids involved in small group Bible studies. The house, the new building included activity rooms, a kitchen, offices for the expanding staff, a gymnasium, a place where activities could flow out into the community. Now the 80s continued to bring more staff, more vans, and who of us from that time could ever forget Camp Mole Ski Tow? Yes, in northern Minnesota, hundreds of kids got out of the city for the first time to go and experience the camping site at Camp Mole Ski Tow. What a great name. It was picked by the kids, by the way. The 80s also brought a new decade of cooperation with other youth agencies, the development of new and more intense programs. The house added retreats, tutoring programs, discipleship programs, an adult leadership training program to reach out and touch the city. It also had the first computer camp program in the nation within our building. The 90s and 2000s saw new directions for Hospitality House programming. It had a new name and new activities, changing to meet the ever-changing needs of the youth of the city. Yes, the programs of Hospitality House continue to change to meet the needs of our youth, and that is necessary. But the message of Jesus Christ never changes, and HH has been true to that call. Hospitality House, today as yesterday, does something to kids and to the adults that are involved in it. The people who get involved, lives are changed. 60 years of miracles, 60 years of lives being changed, 60 years of blessing. It's not just the youth, that are blessed, as I mentioned. It is also the adults. Families, whole families have felt the impact of Hospitality House. Now, some of you listening tonight are in your 40s, 50s, 60s as alumni. And through the world of Facebook, I get to hear from you, and I'm excited to see how you as grandparents today, alumni, are telling your grandkids about the impact that Hospitality House had on you. You see, it goes on and on and on. Today, Hospitality House Youth Development is meeting new changes that our youth are facing. Following what God says in James 1:22, be ye doers of the word, not hearers only. That is Hospitality House. It's a doing place. We hear the word, we hear the call of God, and then we do. Hospitality House Youth Development is a doing place. Just listen to some of their activities. Urban Learning Center, academic support, computer lab, teen leadership, job readiness, field trips, recreation, math and science, language arts, athletics, Christmas with dignity, to list just a few. Now, this year, of course, has brought on multitude challenges to continue to be able to serve the youth in all of these areas. And Hospitality House has been meeting that challenge. So tonight we celebrate 60 years of faithful, steadfast dedication to the youth of our city. Hospitality House started with a dream, a vision that it still carries out today. Your generous support tonight will help it continue to do so. It will continue to reach out and touch lives of youth and their families in the city. Thank you for your investment.
I was involved in the Hospitality House ministry for numerous years, starting, I would guess, in 1993 and going on until probably 2001. And I would like to say congratulations to Hospitality House. Just 60 years of work in God's vineyard. That's incredible. Someone said we have two important dates in our lives. One is when we were born, Two is when we find out why. And that's where Hospitality House has excelled, in helping folk to find out why they are here. And that has been most important in my life, that why. And I believe that the first part of that purpose in life is to love God, to enjoy God forever, to serve your neighbors and love your neighbors as yourself. Beautiful. That's what HH did for me, is to lead me into my Christ birthing. So excited about it. You know, I like to say that Woody planted the seed and Herb came along and watered, but we know God gave the increase. Now, I'm gonna let something out of the bag, it may be, but Herb wasn't that excited about coaching baseball. You know, he said that later. But he was excited about connecting with kids, and that came through. He would basically, because we were a good team, he would tell us, some pieces about coaching, and then he would let us self-learn. But what he would do is be on the sidelines, studying us for who we were, our character, our tendencies. And he really was kind of measuring how he could speak into our lives on behalf of Jesus Christ. And he did it powerfully, and so thank you, Herb. I remember having some personal time with him where he shared the gospel, and it just seemed to radiate, with me and impacted my heart in a way where I was committed to continue to grow in Christ Jesus. And so I thank the Lord for using Herb and Hospitality House as a vessel.
We're Hospitality House alumni.
Hi, my name is Randy McKinney. I came to Hospitality House in 1972.
My name is Missy Lewis, Mother Shed, and I came to Hospitality House in 1978.
Hi, I'm Walter Cox. I came to Hospitality House in 1973. Hi, I'm Sylvia Jones, also known as Nisi. I came to Hospitality House in 1975. I think the greatest impact they had on me was sportsmanship. It didn't matter if we win or lose, they always said to give God praise and to play fair and have a good time.
I think the thing that had the greatest impact on me was being surrounded by caring adults.
The greatest impact they had on me is involving Jesus Christ in everything that we did.
Probably the greatest impact was accepting Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior. One of my favorite memories was sports, playing basketball, football, baseball, and running track. The relationships and the good times you have.
Some of the best memories I had was, and what I've been able to carry into adulthood, is the art of volunteering. Taking trips to Mississippi to work with HUD housing and work on housing for low income. Volunteering to do things around the community here in Minneapolis and abroad.
My favorite memories all revolve around sports. Not only just the actual competition, but also the camaraderie, the relationships that are developed through that process. The ability to travel for basketball tournaments in different states and kind of getting to see other parts of the country. And then I would say the least of my favorites was camp.
I agree.
You better explain why.
Yes.
The outhouse is not a friend of mine.
My greatest memories here at Hospitality House was developing my skill and my talent of singing. Hospitality House had a choir, and we did travel as well. I'm with Walter. I'm not a fan of the outhouses, but we did do camping as the choir as well. They wanted us to learn how to rough it. There was a lot of diversity here at Hospitality House, but when we would play against other teams and stuff, they didn't feel that we were diverse enough. We had assistant coaches that were they were both black and white, and it didn't matter what color, they still felt that we were, quote unquote, not black enough or not white enough. So we dealt with a lot of that growing up, and and we had to deal with being Jesus people. The great thing about it was I was around a lot of people that looked just like me. And Herb was just kind of a sore thumb, but he was a good sore thumb. As we grew up, he was what we would call good trouble. He would get in good trouble for the young kids here at Hospitality House.
But we did have a lot of great parks and recreation, community centers scattered throughout the city. There were a lot of places for youth to go, to be safe, to be able to play sports, make friends, have something to do outside of school. And a lot of those things are not present today that we were able to enjoy, and so it would be extremely a positive thing for Hospitality House to continue to be able to offer those sorts of programs and hopefully grow.
You know, my family teases me because they say, you're friends, you have a rainbow coalition of friends. And it's because I believe I learned that here at Hospitality House. Yes. Although it was majority minorities, but we learned that to love one another and to love others and not to prejudge people just because of the color of their skin. To be able to offer that to the kids today is, I think, still even greater in this day and age and the time that we live in right now, because it's not always as loving out there in the world. But if you can come to Hospitality House and receive that love and that care and that instruction and guidance and someone being firm with you, but yet loving, that's priceless.
I think the fact that this organization has been here for 60 years really speaks to the value that it brings to the community, the importance of this institution in our community. And what I want people to know is that the needs continue to be great. It's important for folks to continue to support us. We want people to continue to be involved as volunteers. We want folks to send their children here and let us help nurture them and help them grow and reach their potential. And hopefully we'll be here for another 60 years.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great opportunity for me to present to you our Young Man and Young Ladies of the Year. We had a vote and these two tied. They're great students. We got Taylor Pettis who's an outstanding athlete, great student, and a great dancer. We got Nunu Hill, who's also one of the best girl basketball players in our program. She got a weak jumper, but a great crossover. One of the ladies of the year. And we got Nick Mingo, one of our guys who's been in our program for over 8 years. And now he's finally matured into the young man of the year. We bless the Lord to have these three, and I can't wait to see them in 10 years. One of them might even be running Hospitality House. So thank you, thank you, thank you for our young ladies and young man of the year. God bless you.
I'm Taylor Pettis, and I am one of the winners of the Young Woman Award at Hospitality House this year. What I love about Hospitality House is that I get to have fun and play with my friends, but I also get an education out of it and get to learn a lot. Something important that I've learned at Hospitality House is responsibility, because a lot of things, kids, they do a lot of stuff, and you just have to be able to be responsible and take action for it and do what you're supposed to be doing at all times. Hospitality House has given me a lot of opportunities to be a leader. I was in the kindergarten and first grade classroom helping with the kids. They love to teach us about faith, and I have faith in Jesus because He is my Savior and He loves us no matter what. Faith is important to me because it gives me hope, and when things get hard, like with my family, I can just call on Jesus and He'll tell me what to do.
My name is Alexandria Hale, and I am a winner of the Young Women of the Year Award at Hospitality House. One thing I learned about Hospitality House is to care for other people, and that's important to me because Jesus cared for other people, and that's my example. Another thing that's important to me is doing God's will, and what that means to me is doing the right thing. And doing the right thing to me means loving God and other people. Thank you, Hospitality House.
Hi, my name is Nicholas Mingo, and I'm a winner of the Young Man of the Year Award at Hospitality House. I'm a senior at Bloomington Kennedy. After Kennedy, I want to go to college. One of the things I learned at Hospitality House is hard work. Some examples of those is staying out of the streets, staying out of trouble. Another thing that I learned at Hospitality House is responsibility. Being at work on time, turning in all my work at school, and being a teacher at Hospitality House. My faith in Jesus Christ is strong because He helped me through difficult times. For God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in Him shall not perish but have everlasting life. That verse is important to me because it gives me strength, it gives me courage, and it helps me know that God is going to be there all the time with me.
Good evening, and thank you again for being with us here tonight as we celebrate the 60th anniversary of Hospitality House Youth Development. I appreciate the fact that you have carved out some time to be with us here tonight. And as you know, over the last 60 years, Hospitality House has done some amazing things for the kids on the north side of Minneapolis. So many things have changed, yet so many things have stayed the same. From the beginning, under the leadership of Woody Larson, through today, through Reverend Hunter and his team, Hospitality House has been changing the lives of children that have come through these doors, teaching them about an eternal love from Jesus Christ, teaching them morals and ethics and the value of education, giving them opportunities to play sports and learn life lessons that sports can teach, have all been invaluable lessons that Hospitality House has implanted in these kids that have come through the doors. Over 100,000 kids over the last 60 years. You've heard from Kay about the impact that Hospitality House has had on her family. As a former board member, I have seen with my own eyes the changes that have happened in kids while I have spent time at Hospitality House. It has been amazing. I encourage all of you, if you are interested, to come down for a site visit and see what they're doing each and every day. We all know we're living in a strange environment with COVID-19. COVID-19 has created a lot of challenges for all of us. We've heard about the distance learning. Part of Hospitality House's revenue comes from the Minneapolis Public Schools on a per child per student basis. Right now, due to COVID-19, Hospitality House can see about 1/3 to 1/2 of the kids that they normally get to see on premises. And so needless to say, the revenue stream is a little bit lower than what it has been in the past. So that's why I'm here. I want to ask for your help. I want to ask for your partnership to help Hospitality House continue to do the great things that they're doing on the north side of Minneapolis. We've got a very generous $25,000 matching gift. This gift and match will be applied to any donor that is a new donor to Hospitality House or anybody that makes a gift over $500. Now that could come monthly. As long as the total is over $500, your gift will be matched dollar for dollar. Again, our goal tonight is to raise $175,000. We know that's a stretch goal, but we ask for your help. We're going to make this very easy for you as well. All of you either received in the mail a donor card, you got something via email that you can fill out and send back, or very simply you can go on to hhyd.org and make your gift there as well. Think about the things that Hospitality House is doing on the north side of Minneapolis. Think about the young students' lives that have been impacted by the things that Hospitality House does for these children each and every day. Think about becoming a partner with Hospitality House to continue as we move into the future and look at the next 50 and 60 years of ways that you can help Hospitality House help those kids go on and be positive impacts in the world. Thank you very much, and I'd now like to turn it over to Tom Hagen to close us in prayer.
We want to thank you very much for joining us at this event. God has been transforming lives at Hospitality House for 60 years. 2020 has been a challenging year, full of stress and anxiety. This is especially true for people in North Minneapolis. During this time, God has provided so many acts of kindness, so many gifts of generosity. And for this, we're deeply grateful to you, our supporters. Lives continue to be transformed by God, and we're so grateful and thankful. I want to close our time together with a word of prayer. I know that many of you believe in the power of prayer as I do. And so I'm going to ask you to join with me in a closing prayer. I also ask you to pray for Hospitality House through the coming year. Let's pray together. Lord God, we honor you and respect you in our time together as our creator and our sustainer. We pray for the young people and their families at Hospitality House. We pray that you'll help each one to make wise, healthy choices in life. We pray that you'd help each one to develop positive relationships with others who are seeking to know you and to follow you. We pray, Lord, that you'll continue to provide opportunities for the kids at Hospitality House. We thank you for our donors and supporters whose prayers and generosity make this possible. And we ask that you'd put your hand of blessing on each one of them. We bring this prayer to you in the great name of Jesus. Amen.